Hey everyone, we're always told that education is the key to the future, right? But what if the whole system we're using is, well, just fundamentally outdated? Today, we're going to look at a pretty ambitious plan to upgrade the very operating system of how we all learn.
Just let that sink in for a second. Imagine if the whole point wasn't just about passing the class, but about actually building the skills you need for a fulfilling life. That one question, it's really at the heart of everything we're about to dive into.
So here's the core problem. Think of our education system like it's running on Windows 95, you know? It's an old, outdated operating system. It was designed for a world that, let's be honest, just doesn't exist anymore.
See, this system was literally engineered to create efficient factory workers. You know, people who could follow instructions and memorize facts. But in a future that's all about AI and constant change, that's just not going to cut it. And this old approach, well, it often leads to kids feeling totally disengaged, anxious even. And it creates this huge gap between what they learn in school and what they actually need in the real world.
All right, so if the old system is broken, what's the fix? Well, here's the good news. We don't have to guess. We have literally decades of cognitive science that have given us a super clear blueprint for what makes learning stick. You know, what makes it effective, engaging, and last a lifetime. The real challenge has always been, how do you actually apply all that science at scale? Okay, let's start with a huge one, active learning. It's a really simple but powerful idea. Basically, we learn best by doing, not just by sitting there passively listening to someone talk. It's all about tackling real problems, getting your hands dirty, and really building that knowledge for yourself. And the results? They are absolutely staggering. A massive analysis of over 200 studies found that when you use active learning in STEM courses, failure rates drop by 55%. I mean, think about that. For every 10 students who would have failed, more than 5 of them passed just because the way they were taught changed. That's not a small tweak. That is a complete game changer.
All right, next up is emotional engagement. See, our brains are just wired for stories. When we can connect what we're learning to a compelling story or to something in our own lives, it isn't just more interesting, it's literally encoded into our memory more strongly. Emotion isn't a distraction from learning, it's the superhighway to it. And once again, the data totally backs this up. One study showed a 22% jump in how much people remembered when the exact same information was just wrapped in a story. It's not magic, it's neuroscience. Our brains are just built to pay attention to stories and to hang on to the information inside them. And finally, let's talk about one of the most powerful learning hacks out there, retrieval practice. You know, rereading your notes feels productive, but it's actually super passive. The real magic happens when you try to pull information out of your brain, like with a quick little quiz. That's the stuff that actually builds and strengthens those memory pathways for good. And just look at the difference this makes. I mean, it's huge. Studies show over and over that retrieval practice can boost how much you remember long-term by 30 to 40% compared to just rereading. That's the difference between just kind of recognizing something and truly deeply knowing it. So that brings up a really big question. If we know all this stuff, if the science is so clear, why isn't every single lesson designed this way? Well, the short answer is because it's hard. It takes a ton of time, a ton of expertise to redesign a curriculum like this. Well, at least it used to. And this is where Edventurefy comes in. It's basically an AI-powered engine that's designed to do all that heavy lifting for you. The whole idea is to take any standard lesson and just automatically transform it into an epic, skill-building adventure, one that's built on all that science we just talked about. And it does it in minutes. So every single lesson that gets transformed becomes this complete learning journey. They call it an adventure. It always starts with a pre-quest, which is all about sparking curiosity and getting the brain ready to learn. Then you dive into the core quest. That's the main challenge-based mission. After that, there's a post-quest to help you reflect and really lock in learning. And if you're really into it, there are even optional side quests for going even deeper. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like in a real classroom? Let's take a look at a real-world example of how a pretty standard lesson gets this total transformation. So imagine this. A teacher uploads her, kind of dry slide deck about cell biology. The before is just passive memorization of terms for a test. But the after? Suddenly her students become pit crew cell mechanics, or they're exploring the jungle of chlorophylla. They're solving real challenges together inside a story. The focus just completely shifts from memorizing to actually problem solving. And for the teacher, the process is designed to be ridiculously simple. Seriously. You just upload your existing lesson stuff, PDFs, links, whatever. Then this AI bot kind of interviews you to figure out your goals for the class. You pick a fun theme, and boom, the engine generates the entire adventure package for you. You just download and print it, and you're ready to go.
But a tool like this is really just the first step. The long-term vision here is way bigger than just making individual lessons more fun. It's about building a whole new infrastructure for how humanity learns, grows, and connects with each other, one step at a time.
So how does that whole vision unfold? Well, it starts with phase 1, which is what we've been talking about, empowering facilitators with this awesome tool. But then it grows. Phase 2 is about activating the students, giving them personal dashboards to actually track their skill growth. Phase 3 brings in more AI to create truly personalized adaptive quests. And finally, Phase 4 invites parents into the mix, creating these amazing connections between what's happening at school and at home.
So when you pull back and look at the whole thing, the ultimate goal is, well, it's incredibly ambitious. We're talking about building something like the Starfleet Academy of Earth, a system designed to foster explorers, not followers, to create the kind of creative, resilient, and collaborative people we're absolutely going to need for the future. And all of this really leaves us with a final, really important question to think about. How do we design a system that actually rewards adventure, mastery, and contribution, instead of just rewarding passive consumption? As AI changes the world, learning isn't just about getting a job anymore. It's about building a meaningful life. And figuring that out is one of the biggest challenges and, one of the greatest opportunities of our time.